Storytelling is sort of fundamental to all human cultures. It seems to be something that we're built to enjoy and to understand, the way we think in narratives. It's kind of a playground of the imagination that can have some very direct and serious implications for how we think about ourselves acting in the world. Narratives are especially good at the potential for moral understanding.
Carl Plantinga is leading a study which examines how our engagement with characters in film and television can lead to moral understanding. Can screen stories help us to understand the moral implications of complex situations? Can they help us to understand how to act in such situations in our own lives?
Most media psychologists believe that we're untiring moral monitors. We're consistently sizing up the characters. We're judging them from a moral perspective, and we're playing them off against each other. So the right kind of story can teach us a lot about human virtue. That seems to be the work of superhero films. They're not simply about action, they're also about the person of the superhero. They often have various sorts of ethical dilemmas that they're dealing with. They exhibit certain virtues or lack thereof. So I think that we often think of action films as being mindless, but nonetheless, they still are foundationally about moral issues. Our project is primarily concerned with whether the viewer's engagement with characters in films can lead to moral understanding or moral learning. We thought it would be important not only to think about and surmise about whether films might lead to some kind of moral learning, but to see if we could actually empirically demonstrate some of these outcomes. One of our projects will be to measure what's going on while people are watching these scenes. And we're going to be using eye tracking, which keeps track of where people's eyes are during the film scenes, and we're going to be using EEGs. The second thing we're going to be measuring is what kind of post-film reflection goes on and how that might contribute to moral understanding. And for that, we're going to use questionnaires and surveys. And we're going to see whether people have their moral fires stoked, so to speak, to see if they have learned anything or if they have been prompted to think about any of these moral issues after they've seen the film. So I would say that one difference between, say, literature and film in storytelling is film has these ways of creating what I would call embodied simulation. Of course, you can simulate while you're reading as well, but I think film can do this very, very powerfully. When I call a film an experience machine, what I mean by that is that it's not solely a cognitive or intellectual exercise. It involves the entire body. When a story is told, it's understanding that comes through your affective response. So in other words, you don't understand things purely from an intellectual perspective. You understand the film with your entire body. How this might relate to moral understanding is really interesting, because you could argue that it is a roadblock to moral understanding, because the film sort of locks you into a train of responses that are predetermined in advance. Or you could argue that it's a royal road to moral understanding because it can create such a powerful experience that you will be thinking about it and mulling it over and ruminating about it for years to come. A lot of folks in film studies are more interested in film form and film history, film technique, and beauty. And the use of the word moral is taboo. And the word political was much more accepted. But today, I think that's changing. People understand now that all political issues are also moral issues, that they really can't be differentiated so cleanly. One of the reasons that I'm interested in stories is that they're not only historical and formal and stylistic, and that's all very intriguing to me, but they also play a central role in human life. Beauty is very important, and art history is very important, but the role that the arts play in our lives is also vital, and I think we need to understand that better.